Hey girl, hey, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Misha. Thank you guys for joining me yet again for another review. We are back with a brand new review for Family or Fiance, Season 3, Episode 10, the Married Edition. Okay, this is Tiffany and Josh. If you are new here, then welcome. I give lighthearted reviews with a little bit of laughter and a little bit of shade and a whole lot of detail. If you're back for a second or third time, then welcome back. Y'all, please don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. Now, child, let's get into it if we gonna get into it. When the episode first opens up, we meet Tiffany and Josh, and they're married, but it's complicated. So he's saying that they met when she walked by past the barbershop. She was looking cute. He stopped her. He said hi, and she was like, I was looking a fool that day, but I had told my friend if anybody wants to talk to me while I'm looking how I'm looking, then he might be the one for me, and Josh it is. So she said what happened was over the past 5 years, she feels like he's changed, like he's a person that she doesn't know, and she's drawn up divorce papers. Now, we're going to progress in the episode, but something tells me that Tiffany throws around the D word a lot. Okay, she like to play with fire, but you keep saying divorce and one day you're going to get your wish. I'm just saying. So he looking pale. They're in the car. Y'all know that little tiny SUV they like to put him in on the way to the house. So they're in the car and she's like, what's wrong with you? And he's sweating. He was like, my stomach hurt. She said, oh, you always sick. You never want to see me accomplish things. Like you never want me to thrive. You're always sick. I was like, what? Who says you're always sick? Every time I'm trying to thrive, you get sick. So they get to the house, right? They're looking around and all of a sudden she's like, you know what? We're going to make this thing work. I'm like, okay, this is going to be a wild ride. Okay. So, they go in, look around the house. It's giving MTV Cribs. Y'all only there for a little time. Y'all for a short time, not a long time and all that. So they go in, look at the house and she's happy again. So they go in and talk to Tracy. So Tracy lets them know, listen, normally on Family or Fiance, people are trying to get the blessing to get married. But on this edition, they're trying to avoid a divorce. So she looks over at him. She's like, sit up straight. Like, get yourself together. Like, sit up. Even though he doesn't feel good. So Tracy tells him, I feel like you may be experiencing anxiety. I don't know what he's experiencing, but the beer virus is outside and he doing all that sweating. Honey, y'all might need to check him out. Like, I don't know exactly what's going on with him, but y'all might want to check out his stomach. When I tell you that boy was on a gangster lean, he was sweating. I thought he was going to pass the hell out. Do you hear me? Moving forward. But in all seriousness, though, I didn't like how they were just like overlooking the fact that he said he didn't feel good. Like the man looked in distress. Somebody should have checked on him. Like he just did not look well. So Tracy asks when it started going downhill. And so Tiffany tells her that they got pregnant and she lost the baby in 2017. And then he lost his mom only like 3 weeks after that. So on April 12th, the baby passed away and then his mom passed away on Mother's Day. And I was like, oh my gosh. I don't know how he's still standing. I really don't. Like, I feel like I would be folded the hell up. I really do. And side note, this man can barely sit up. I don't know. I may have to have a medic come in because Tracy, you ain't no medical doctor talking about he may have anxiety. I'm just looking at this man and he really looks sick. So anyway, he said he wasn't able to be at his mom's funeral. The baby didn't make it because the baby didn't have any kidneys. Oh my gosh, that is awful. I just cannot imagine. My heart really goes out to them because to carry a baby and be prepared to love on this baby and then something like that happens, that's just awful. So anyway, she said that she got pregnant again and then she got pregnant again. So she got pregnant back to back and the children are 1 and 2. But then she goes, and I also have a 10, an 18 and a 23-year-old. And I was like, girl, how old are you? Because, in the beginning of Family or Fiance, normally they tell us their ages. But on this episode, the married edition, they didn't tell us how old they were. And I was like, girl, how old are you? Not 18, 23, 10, 1, 2. Girl, what? So he also has another kid. Y'all keep that in mind. He has a 14-year-old daughter. So he says, they fight about the divorce talk and he doesn't really want the divorce, but she wants it. And she said that he thinks she wants the divorce because she served him papers, but she loves him. Okay, so quit throwing around divorce. What you mean he think you want it because you gave him papers, but you love him? If you give me papers, I'm going to think you want it too. Oh, child, I don't have time. So she feels that she gives 100% and he only gives 20. So Tracy was like, well, what do you feel like the other percentage goes? And she said he does nothing but smoke weed every day. Anywho, smokes weed every day, play video games, sit in a garage. He don't do nothing. He has no ambition. She says she feels like she's made a bad decision by staying with him because every time she's about to be happy, he gets sick. Girl, if you say that one more time, that is the most insensitive thing. Like, okay, but girl, would you please stop saying every time we doing something, he gets sick? Why do you keep saying that? If this is your husband till death do us part in sickness and in health, then why should it matter if he's getting sick? Like, girl is feeling very self-centered and selfish. So Tracy asked what he could do. And she said, I feel like he just needs to push through it. Like, sit up, stand firm, stand tall, like sit up, hold your shoulders back. How you gonna get sick when it's time to try to fix us? I don't think he can control his body. I don't think he can control the sickness. I really don't. So he's like, we've been going through a lot. She said, yeah, but I still need you to try. Like, sit up. So Tracy was like, listen, don't do that. Okay? Let him be a mess. If he wants to be a mess, let him be that. Because when you're doing that, that is what is making him sick. The anxiety from what you're doing and saying, it's making him sick. So Tracy said, most of the time we want to fix the other person so we can feel better. And she was like, no, that's not how I feel. Like, I want him to do it for him. Tracy basically said, okay, well then let him do it. If you want him to do it for him, then let him do it. So then, of course, Tracy asked who all's coming from their sides. On Josh's side, Maya is his daughter. She's 14. Aaron is his brother. Jayla is his sister. On her side, her mom and her 2 daughters are coming. So Tiffany said, she wants to hear from the children and see how they feel about everything. Do you want to hear from the children? Because we're going to get into that. So Tracy gives them their task. Tiffany's task will be doing what has changed. She's going to break down what has changed in the marriage and how toxic the behaviors have turned and when those toxic behaviors started. She's going to do it while she's cooking brunch with the family. He's going to go down the marriage timeline. He's going to break down what's happened the years that they've been together for Tiffany's family. So Tracy tells them on day 3, they will reconvene and choose to divorce or not. Honey, hit it or quit it. No, I'm just kidding. Y'all know I can't never be serious. Divorce or stay together. So her family starts arriving, honey. Her family arrives first. And her mom said that she would describe their relationship as oil and water. So when they came in, Tiffany takes them around the house because, of course, he's laid out because he's not feeling good because his stomach is turning. And she takes them around the house. And so she's like, yeah, he's sick. He been throwing up. So her mom was like, well, what's wrong with him? She was like, well, Tracy said he's sick mentally. Girl, Tracy did not say he was sick mentally. She said it was anxiety. Now, come on. Now, I didn't like that. I'm like, girl, why are you trying to make this man sick in the head? She said that he's having anxiety, which is really nothing to make fun of because anxiety is real. I have had people that I've worked with have a full-on anxiety attack so bad that they thought they were having a heart attack. So you sitting around and she said mentally. I did not like that. That was crazy. So her mom was like, well, we need to work through it. He needs to just get up and work through it. Well, child, I see where she got it from. So she goes out and sits next to him, right? And she's like, what's going on with you? He said, my stomach hurt. Now I'm like, you checking on him, but not really. So she gonna look at him and say, you want your marriage to work? You better get it together. You need to sit up. You better get your stuff together. And baby, they ain't showing Josh no mercy. Do y'all hear me? So then his family arrives and they describe the marriage as organized chaos. Okay, now, honey, that sister might be an opinionator. Shut up if you're an opinionator, honey, because that's how I describe our lives. We have a life and it's organized chaos. Like, we literally be getting into it as we get into it about one subject, honey. We might be talking about nails. We might be talking about going to the hair salon. Honey, ain't no telling what we going to talk about on these lives. So we might be having a story time. It's not really a story time. The lives give the zhuzh that should be given, but when she said organized chaos, I was like, shout out to the opinionated family. So he hasn't seen his daughter in a very long time, right? So they come in, so they all go into the family room. You know how they do on Family or Fiance, and ask about the family's concerns. So his sister said her concerns are no communication, no affection. His daughter had the same exact, concerns. His brother said that they don't take the time to understand each other's perspective. So her daughter's concerns were communication, them arguing and not giving each other enough compliments. Her mom said they argue for days over nothing. So her daughter said that they need to get on the same page and do the deed. And they need to get into it as they get into it because they ain't, doing the horizontal polka, and they need to. Okay, they need to. So they break up to do the task, and Josh is breaking down the timeline, right? In the kitchen, Tiffany is telling them the death of the baby did something to him. It changed him. I'm quite sure it did. That is hard. And men internalize their feelings. So, they're being taught from little boys, don't cry. You better not cry. Boys don't cry. So they keep it to themselves. And that's why I do the total opposite. Listen, if you want to cry and fall the hell out, please cry and fall the hell out. I encourage my son to give me all the tears. And I ask him all the time, did that make you very sad? Is that a large emotion? Well, let it out. Because I do not want him to be with no woman and be emotionally unavailable, honey. And she be calling me, talking about, he don't never want to do. I ain't got time, child. I raised him. That's all I can do. Child, that's all I can do, honey. So outside, he's telling them the death of his son in that visit when the doctor told them that their son wasn't going to make it. It felt like he had died. Not just the baby, but him. And he should have done some grief counseling. That's what I think. They should have equipped them with something. If you're going to be giving them some news like that, you should also have a chaplain come in, and you should also have a grief counselor on standby so that they have someone to talk to. Because I feel like that would have helped them a great deal. So in the kitchen, Tiffany is also running down the timeline. Ma'am, what exactly is your task? Because you're doing his task. Child, you can't even let him do his own task. Your task was to break down when the relationship became toxic. And you just... In 2016, this happened. In 2009, I'm like, child, they doing the same task, honey. Somebody didn't understand the assignment. Okay. So outside, he's talking about his mom's death and how he doesn't fully feel like he's come back from that. I can imagine that's your mom and your baby. Look, I don't blame him at all. I really don't. Those are some heavy feelings. He said if they divorced, he would try to stay close because he lost so much of his 14-year-old's life and he wants to stay close to her kids. Now, he was giving trifling on this part because you want to stay close to her kids and you'll do anything to stay close to her kids, but your kid is feeling away. And now we're finna get into the foolishness. So inside, Tiffany tells Maya, who is his beautiful 14-year-old daughter, that she's his joy, but when she didn't come around, it killed his spirit and he feels like Maya doesn't like him. And Maya said, well, I do have a grudge because I feel like he didn't love me and he didn't want me. She said, I met him for the first time when I was like 8 or 9 and I was like, I don't know him. So how am I supposed to be around him because I just don't really know him like that? So then Tiffany gonna say, well, for all those years, your dad begged to see you and guess who don't call? You. She's a freaking child. He is the father. Why didn't he try harder? Why didn't he call her? Let me guess, his stomach hurt. Like, how dare you stand in front of this little girl and say he felt like you didn't like him? He's the adult. Like, don't put that on that little girl. So Tiffany's like, when you didn't show up, that affected our marriage. When I tell y'all my mouth was wide open, don't put that guilt on this baby. Your failing marriage is not her fault. Okay, that's y'all's fault. And why are they letting her talk to this baby this way? I was like, why y'all just sitting here while she talking to his daughter like this? Child, y'all ain't no better than that. Is everybody scared of her or what is going on? So child, then they finish their task, right? And they come in, they sit down for brunch. So Josh starts talking about the task and he said, if they did get a divorce, he's pulling a Kanye and he moving across the street. He said he ain't going, honey. And you're gonna love me. Honey, he said you're gonna love him. He said he's gonna do anything in his power for her, whether they're together or not. Now, mind you, he's saying all this about Tiffany. So Tiffany starts talking about the task that they did and what his daughter Maya felt and how she was holding a grudge because he wasn't there. So Maya said, I felt like I was a mistake and that I wasn't meant to be here. And he said, well, it wasn't my choice, but you only call me when you need something. Did you hear what your damn daughter just said? She said she felt like she wasn't supposed to be here. Like she was a mistake. Are you listening? Like what? He's like, yeah, you don't call to check on me. You never called to check on me. And on our birthdays, you didn't even call us. So he points out her daughter's birthday and goes, yeah, because on so-and-so's birthday, you didn't even call. Why does she only have to call? What y'all doing? Why y'all can't reach out to her? So now you're going to guilt trip her because she didn't call and check on somebody else's damn birthday? I wonder how many birthday cards and presents she's gotten from you. He's like, you didn't even call to check on me when your brother passed. Did you hear what she said to you? She felt like a mistake, like you didn't want her. Not only do you go on about your other children and blame her not calling on her, you put 100% of the responsibility and blame on a 14-year-old for not calling you when her sibling passed away. She is a child. At 14, she's still navigating life, honey. She don't even know who she is. You should have been reaching out to her. Now, I don't know the relationship that you have with her mom, but I'm not cutting you any slack because what Tiffany is saying, you're allowing her to say. And what she got it from is you. It starts with you. You are her dad. Child, I wish I would. So Tiffany is like, well, I mean, he gets joy from you. And when our baby died and you didn't come around, it caused problems in our marriage. So she starts crying. Now Tiffany is crying, which is the wife, right? He reaches over and hugs her. Are you freaking kidding me? You should have reached out to hug your daughter. She was in tears. I'm disgusted. Moving forward. Day 2. So they go in to visit with Tracy, and Tiffany tells her about Maya's feelings of being abandoned. So Tracy tells them, well, Maya has an emotional concern that her dad doesn't love her, and she wants them to see that Maya is hurt. So instead of Tiffany taking it like an adult, she gonna say, well, we're all hurt. See, that's why you gotta watch who you make these kids stepmom and stepdad. You're not genuine at all. I got not one genuine vibe from her throughout this entire episode. It's not genuine. We're hurt too. So Tracy said, well, she's 14. So you don't need to say I'm hurt too. That's not what you say. Tracy said, well, what about when you said to her that she's causing problems in your marriage? Baby, that's what got me. That's what got me. How's she causing problems in your marriage? She not married to y'all. You two cause your own issues in your marriage. She's like, yeah, I was wrong for that. I shouldn't have said that. Girl, bye. So Tracy said, yeah, that's not right. Kids might activate a problem, but they don't cause it. Can y'all imagine how this baby is internalizing these things? My daddy's marriage is falling apart. This woman is threatening divorce, and it's my fault. If I would just call him, if I would just visit him, maybe he wouldn't be in pain, and maybe his wife wouldn't be divorcing him. It's my fault. Oh, baby, let me tell you something. If I was that little girl's mama, as soon as I caught wind of this episode, baby, me and her would have some words. Do you hear me? We would have some words. Anywho, she's like, a 14-year-old shouldn't even know about y'all's problems. That's resentment. And it's resentment that you should have towards him. She's like, yeah, I don't have resentment towards him. I love Maya. Do you? Tiffany is just listening to respond. Girl, you're wrong. And the way you go about things is wrong. So Tracy then addresses Josh about him saying Maya didn't call when her brother died. And she was like, she was only 9. Okay, hold him up, swallow him up. He wanted a 9-year-old to call and check on him. He's like, it was her brother too, though. It was her brother. Oh, they belong together, honey. Both of y'all are out of touch with reality. At 9 years old, they aren't the slightest bit worried about things like that. She was still playing with her Barbie dolls at 9 years old. She's not thinking, let me call and check on my dad, make sure you're doing all right today. Those are not things kids think about. My son is 7. I can say, oh my gosh, like I had the worst day. I'm just talking on the phone or something. And then I get off the phone and I say, oh my gosh, I just had the worst day. Let me go sit down. Mommy, you remember that video game that I wanted? It's like he doesn't care what I'm talking about. He's a baby. And I wouldn't dare put my worries on him. Like when I see him sit still, if I've had a conversation with his dad or anything's going wrong or whatever, if I see him sitting still and he's looking a little funny, I say, oh, you worried about something? Give me all your worries. Give me all your worries. And I start like grabbing towards his brain, trying to get him out. I'm like, give me all those worries. Those are all for mommy. You don't need to be worried about anything besides what game you're going to play and what time I'm going to make you go to bed. That's it. That baby was 9. So Tracy said, do you believe a 9-year-old should come to an adult? You're creating a dysfunctional relationship. Honey, and is. So Tiffany said, after all of the major life changes, Josh just isn't fun anymore. That's what's going on in our marriage. So much tragedy struck all at once. I can imagine that changes a person unless it's dealt with the right way. Of course he has changed. So Tracy asked if Tiffany felt like he hated her. She said, yeah, I feel like he hated me because I interfered with the business with his daughter. Like I hired a lawyer to try to get her to come visit and stuff like that. And he felt like I should have just left that alone. I'm still pissed at the fact that he hugged Tiffany at that table and left his daughter sitting there looking crazy. She was literally crying and looking towards the camera while he's hugging Tiffany. He said he loves her and he's willing to fight for her. We don't care, honey. I'm not feeling him having more emotion for this than his own daughter. I'm just not feeling it. I'm not feeling it at all. He said he feels like he has to be strong for everybody. He said so he just deals with the emotions and pushes on. So if she want to get a divorce, then so be it. So they're both crying at this moment, right? So Tracy suggests that they see a trauma specialist that's going to help them heal from the trauma that they experienced, because I think part of what's going on with her is she hasn't healed from her baby passing, and neither has he. And then his mom passed. So it was like a double whammy when it comes to him. And, you know, he shut down. She wants more. It's just a lot going on. And she probably, you know, is suffering from other things as well that she hasn't identified. So the both of them are struggling with something, and it's causing a rift in their marriage, not Maya. Okay, just so we're clear. So they go out and they get introduced to Dr. Tamala Black, and they jump right in. So she asks what would they say is hard in their relationship. And Josh said, you know, his son died in his arms. He watched him take his last breath, and then his mom passed and he just fell apart. He said, they say when people pass that there's no more suffering, but what about the people that suffer that they left behind? And I was like, wow, that's so very true. And that's sad. Okay, that's sad. Like, that's a big hurt. Two people you love dying like that. Grief is hard. Life is hard in itself. And to top it with grief and marriage and taking care of family and all these kids, that's just too much. So the doctor tells them that they've been suppressing trauma. So Tiffany said, you know, he said he wants to be with his mom. And when he says things like that, like it's like he wants to take his own life. So he explains that it's not him wanting to take his life. He just wants the pain to stop. So the therapist said, you know what, let's put a title on what you're feeling. And that's depression. And we cannot take this lightly. I'm so happy that the therapist didn't skate past that, because mental health is serious, okay? And men tend to bury things until they become too much to bear. Like, you got to dig deeper, because at any age, people experience things that are challenging to express. So sometimes you have to ask those questions. So then Tiffany was like, I feel faint. I feel like I'm about to fall. Like, girl, not you feeling like you about to fall. Sit up, sit tall, sit firm, hold your shoulders back. Every time he starts to thrive, you get sick. You see how selfish and silly that sounds? Do you see that? Okay. So she starts to feel faint. The therapist gives them a minute. So then she asks, what is she feeling? She said, well, when you said that he was depressed, I should have realized that. Like, I should have realized that he was depressed instead of beating him down with my words, because I tend to kick him when he's down. And that was big of her to admit that she does kick him when he's down, and she should have realized that that was what he was going through, instead of just thinking their marriage was falling apart. He was suffering from depression. And she said, since they've identified the depression and the trauma, they have to address it. This is what Dr. Black is saying. They have to address it together and individually with some therapy. Yes, talking to someone will definitely help them both. Maya also needs some counseling because she's internalizing things as well. So Dr. Black tells Tiffany the threat of divorce also triggers grief and depression because it's another loss. Come on, Dr. Black. Baby, when I tell you she did more for them in this hour, she wasn't even on here an hour, honey, more for them in this 10 minutes than they probably would have gotten from any therapist. That was great. I love how calmly she reaches them. I need Dr. Black in my life. Shout out to Dr. Black. Day 3. So Josh goes out to apologize to Maya and tells her that she's not the reason for his marriage problems and he loves her and she accepted it. But Tiffany needs to also apologize to her, not just you. It should have been a group apology. She needs to know that she's accepted by both, especially you. Like, I'm glad he apologized, but I wanted him to hug her tighter. I felt like he was hugging her with one hand. It didn't give me nothing, honey. It wasn't giving what's supposed to be gave. I got a whole attitude about the whole thing, child. So they go back to Dr. Tracy one last time, and she asks what they learned in counseling. And she says she learned that Josh was depressed. And he said he learned that he needs to be there more for his family because he's been locked in his mind. And now he's trying to get out of it. So Tiffany said, she's happy that he's finally speaking so that she can relax because she feels like she has to talk for them. But now she can sit back because he's speaking. So Tracy explains it's because he's making progress and he's moving towards something. So Tiffany says she also learned when he hears divorce, it brings about grief and depression because it's another loss. And she really got that yesterday. So she apologized to him for throwing around the word divorce and making him feel like she's going to leave him. So Tracy asked, what can he do moving forward? He said he's going to start listening to his wife more and looking for a therapist. And as he's speaking, Tiffany interrupts. Ma'am, let him speak. You want him to man up, but when he speaks, you cut in. Just sit silent. I thought you just said you could relax. Sit back. So Tracy asked her to stop doing it. She was like, girl, please, just let him talk so he can get it. Let him get it out. So she said when they came, she wanted out, but he wanted to stay in. So how do they feel now? He said he loves her and he ain't letting her go. Tiffany says she wants to continue her marriage, but she needs him to change. Ma'am, we just discovered that he needs to go to therapy for the depression and the trauma and the grief of it all. It's not anything that he's doing to you on purpose. So what do you want him to change without the help? So Tracy is telling her, ma'am, stop doing that. Because bringing up him changing is going to kill it. Everything y'all are trying to fix is going to kill it. Like, stop. You know what? I love the fact that she calls them out. No matter what they feeling and what they saying, she gonna call BS if she sees BS. I love it, baby. When I tell y'all I love it. So Tracy tells Josh that he needs to reframe his thinking. So then Tracy says, normally what we do on Family or Fiance is we do a blessing ceremony, but this time you're going to tell the group your decision and see how they feel about your decision. So they go to the group and they tell them that they will be staying married. Honey, I wasn't shocked. Okay. Everyone accepts their decision and the update reads, they are showing up for each other and planning date nights and making time to cuddle. Josh is seeking a counselor and not isolating himself. Tiffany is working with a counselor. Josh, let's get to it. Okay. This is the time where you need to be looking at him, telling him, let's get to it. You can work with any therapist. Okay. No matter where they are. You can do it via Skype or via Zoom visits. Honey, they ain't got to be in the same city and state. I really want him to deal with this grief of losing his mom and his child because depression is sneaky. Okay, it's very sneaky. You'll be having a great up day and all of a sudden you will just plummet. He needs to start speaking to somebody. He really does. I know because I've had intrusive thoughts before and things that just, you really need to speak to somebody. Like you don't need to be seeking a counselor. You need to be in counseling. They said Maya is in touch more after seeing them and they are finding the right time to visit. Maya needs therapy too because this statement still ain't right. The statement don't sound right to me. Maya is in touch more. The statement should read, Maya and Josh are now communicating better and Josh is checking in to let her know that she's a priority and she also calls him every once in a while. That should be the statement, not Maya is reaching out more. And that was the end of the episode. Family or Fiance, Married Edition. Y'all let me know exactly how y'all felt about this episode. If you watched it, please don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, stay safe, stay blessed, spread love, not germs. Peace.